All right. So let's dive in here. You know, your way around relational databases,
Sure.
rows, columns, that whole structured setup. But what happens when the data fire hose gets turned up?
All right.
We're talking real-time, high-velocity streams, like a constant influx of information.
Yeah.
How do you drink from that without getting completely overwhelmed? That's the challenge we're tackling today.
Yeah, it's fascinating how the rules of the game kind of change when we enter this realm of big data.
Yeah.
The old playbook of storing everything neatly in a central server and then analyzing it later just doesn't cut it anymore.
It's almost like our data habits were built for a world that doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly. Think about this. A mind-blowing 90% of the world's data was created in just the last 2 years.
Wow.
And we're not just talking about simple spreadsheets anymore. It's a mix of everything.
Right.
Video streams, sensor readings, social media posts, you name it.
Yeah, it's like going from a well-organized library to a data jungle overnight.
Yeah.
And that brings us to one of the first major hurdles, real-time ingestion. What are we even up against here?
So imagine trying to catch snowflakes in the middle of a blizzard. You might catch a few,
Okay.
but many will slip through your fingers.
Okay.
That's the challenge with real-time data. It's continuous, it's fast, and it's coming from all directions. We need strategies to make sure we're capturing the most valuable snowflakes and not just letting them melt away.
So how do we avoid getting buried in the data blizzard?
We need the right tools for the job, what we call ingestion patterns.
Right.
Each pattern is like a specialized piece of equipment designed to tackle specific data challenges.
Okay, walk me through some of these tools.
Let's start with the multi-source extractor pattern. It's perfect for situations where data is pouring in from various sources, web services, files, sensor data, you name it.
Yeah.
This pattern acts like a central hub, collecting and organizing data from these different pipelines before sending it on for processing.
So it's like creating a single manageable stream from this chaotic mix of sources.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Then you have the multi-destination pattern. This one is all about making sure the data gets delivered to the right place. Think of it like a sorting machine, directing packages to different delivery trucks. Some data might need to go to your data lake for long-term storage, while other data needs to be sent to a real-time analytics engine for immediate insights.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sort it and ship it off to the right department.
Exactly.
But what if we need insights in the blink of an eye? What happens when latency is a major concern?
That's where the real-time streaming pattern comes into play.
Okay.
This pattern is all about processing data on the fly. Imagine a live sports commentary happening simultaneously with the game.
Right.
You're getting insights in real time as the data flows in without waiting for batch processing.
Okay, that's starting to feel like we're operating at the speed of light. But we need more than just clever patterns, right? We need the infrastructure to handle all this.
You're right. And that's where technologies like Hadoop come into play.
Hadoop, that name rings a bell. Refresh my memory.
Think of Hadoop as the heavy machinery of the big data world. Okay. Especially when it comes to storage and processing. It utilizes a distributed file system called HDFS to break down massive data sets and spread them across a cluster of computers.
Okay.
Then it uses a framework called MapReduce to process this distributed data in parallel.
So instead of relying on one giant expensive server, it's like having a team of smaller, more affordable computers working together.
That's the idea. And the beauty of it is that cloud computing has made Hadoop accessible to companies of all sizes.
Oh, wow.
You can essentially rent the processing power and storage you need on demand.
So it's like a pay-as-you-go model for big data processing.
Exactly. But remember, Hadoop is not the only player in town.
Right.
There are other tools and technologies designed to handle these unique challenges of big data.
Let's hear about some of those.
Take NoSQL databases, for example. They're especially adept at handling unstructured data. Think social media posts, sensor data, those sorts of things.
Okay.
Unlike traditional relational databases, which are very structured with rows and columns, NoSQL databases are more flexible.
That makes sense, especially given the variety of data we're dealing with these days.
Right.
Everything doesn't fit neatly into rows and columns anymore.
Right. And then you have tools like in-memory caching,
Okay.
which are all about speed. Imagine having a frequently used cookbook open on the counter for quick access.
Right.
That's what in-memory caching does. It stores frequently accessed data in RAM for super fast retrieval.
So it's like having the most important information at your fingertips ready to go at a moment's notice.
Precisely.
Right?
But even with all this processing power and speed, we still need a way to find what we need within these massive data sets.
It's like finding a needle in a data haystack.
And that's where search engines become critical.
Yeah.
But not in the way you might think.
So it's more than just Google searching the web.
Exactly. We're talking about specialized search engines designed for big data.
Okay.
Tools like Solr, built on a library called Lucene, can quickly index and search through mountains of data. They're the key to finding those valuable insights buried within the data deluge.
So we're not just collecting and storing data. We're actually making it searchable and usable. That's a game changer.
It is, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
We've covered a lot of ground already, from relational databases to data ingestion patterns, Hadoop NoSQL, and even search engines for big data. It's mind-boggling.
And we're just getting started.
This is exciting, but I have a feeling this is just the beginning of our journey. Where do we go from here?
Well, now that we've laid the groundwork, let's explore some of the bigger picture considerations.
Okay.
The challenges, the opportunities, and the real-world applications that make big data so fascinating.
Lead the way. I'm ready to dive deeper.
All right, let's do it. So we've talked about all these tools and technologies, but, the real power of big data lies in the insights we can uncover.
Right.
It's about finding those hidden patterns and connections that can help us make better decisions, solve complex problems, and ultimately, create a better future.
It sounds almost like big data is less about crunching numbers and more about storytelling.
That's a great way to put it. It's about using data to tell a story, to paint a picture of what's happening.
Yeah.
And to make predictions about what might happen next. Just like a good story, it needs to be engaging, insightful, and ultimately meaningful to the audience.
That makes a lot of sense. But let's get practical for a moment. The sources mention some specific challenges we need to be aware of when working with big data. For example, how do we even make sure the data we're collecting is actually useful?
Right.
It seems easy to get lost in the sheer volume of it all.
You've hit on a critical point. It's the classic garbage in, garbage out problem.
Yeah.
But magnified in the big data world, we're dealing with such massive volumes of data from so many different sources that if we're not careful, we can drown in irrelevant information.
So how do we avoid that? How do we make sure we're collecting the right data from the start?
It starts with a clear understanding of the problem we're trying to solve.
Okay.
What questions are we trying to answer? What insights are we hoping to gain? Once we have a clear objective, we can start to identify the data sources that are most likely to be relevant. And remember those ingestion patterns we talked about?
Yeah.
They play a crucial role here, helping us to filter, tag, and validate the data as it's coming in. We're making sure we capture the right information and discard the noise.
So it's not just about collecting everything under the sun. It's about being strategic and targeted in our approach.
Oh, absolutely. And even then, we need to be vigilant. Data cleansing and validation are ongoing processes in the big data world.
Right.
We need to constantly evaluate the data, looking for inconsistencies, errors, and biases that could skew our analysis.
That makes sense. That's like tending a garden.
Yeah.
We need to weed out the unwanted plants so the healthy ones can thrive.
Exactly.
What about the challenges of managing and securing all this data, especially when we're talking about distributed systems like Hadoop?
That's another critical piece of the puzzle. Security in a distributed environment is a whole different ballgame. Compared to traditional database security, you're not just protecting one central server, you're protecting multiple nodes,
Right.
each with its own potential vulnerabilities. And then there's the question of data governance. Who has access to what data? How is it being used?
Yeah.
And how do we ensure compliance with all the relevant regulations?
Yeah.
These are questions organizations need to grapple with as they move into the big data world.
Sounds like a full-time job just to keep everything secure and organized.
It can be, and it is. As big data becomes more pervasive, we're going to see a growing demand for skilled professionals who can manage, analyze, and secure these systems.
Right.
Data scientists, big data architects, security specialists. These roles will be in high demand in the years to come.
It's exciting to think about the career possibilities this opens up. But stepping back for a moment, it seems like with all this power comes a lot of responsibility.
I'm thinking about the ethical considerations of analyzing things like social media data, for example.
You're right to bring that up. Big data gives us incredible power.
And with that power comes a responsibility to use it wisely and ethically. We can't just blindly collect and analyze data without considering the potential consequences. We need to be mindful of people's privacy and make sure we're using the data in a fair and unbiased way.
It's a powerful reminder that technology is only as good as the people who use it.
Yeah.
We need to be thoughtful and responsible in our approach to big data.
I couldn't agree more. But let's not get too bogged down on the challenges. Because despite these complexities, big data also offers incredible opportunities.
Right. We've talked about things like real-time analytics, personalized recommendations, and even fraud detection. It feels like there's no limit to what we can do with this data.
And that's what's so exciting. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible. As the technology continues to evolve and we get better at managing and analyzing the data, we're going to see even more innovative and transformative applications of big data in every aspect of our lives.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges and the opportunities, but what does this all look like in the real world? The sources mention some specific companies that are using big data successfully. Could we dive into some of those?
Absolutely. One that comes to mind is Netflix, the streaming giant.
Okay.
They use big data extensively to personalize recommendations, optimize their content delivery network, and even predict what shows people will want to watch next.
Right.
It's a great example of how big data can be used to create a truly personalized customer experience.
It's uncanny how they seem to know exactly what I want to watch, even before I do. What are some other examples?
Well, in the healthcare industry, we see hospitals using big data to improve patient care.
Okay.
They're analyzing patient records, medical imaging data, and even genomic information to identify patterns, predict health risks, and develop more personalized treatment plans.
That's incredible. It's like having a doctor who knows your entire medical history inside and out, enabling them to provide more targeted and effective care.
Right. And in the financial industry, banks are using big data to detect fraud, manage risk, and personalize financial products.
Okay.
By analyzing transaction data, customer behavior, and even social media activity, they can identify suspicious patterns and take proactive steps to protect their customers.
So big data is not just about making money. It's also about protecting it and ensuring the security of financial systems. It's fascinating to see how these technologies are being applied across so many different sectors.
Exactly. And these are just a few examples. We're seeing big data being used in every industry imaginable, from retail and manufacturing to transportation and energy. The possibilities are truly limitless.
This has been an amazing journey so far. We've gone from the basics of big data to the challenges, the opportunities, and the real-world applications. It's clear that big data is transforming our world in profound ways. But I know there's still more to explore. So we've talked about this huge impact of big data, but where does this all go from here? What's next?
Well, that's the beauty of big data. It's constantly evolving. What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow. New tools and technologies are emerging all the time.
So it's not enough to just learn a specific technology like Hadoop and call it a day.
Not at all. You have to stay curious, keep exploring new solutions, and be willing to challenge the status quo.
Right.
The data landscape is changing so rapidly, and the only way to stay ahead of the curve is to embrace that change.
It sounds like a recipe for success in any field, really.
Yeah.
But for someone who's just starting out in big data, what advice would you give them? Where should they focus their energy?
I would say start by building a strong foundation in the fundamentals. Understand the core concepts of big data, such as distributed processing, data ingestion, beta modeling.
Okay.
Learn the basics of Hadoop and its ecosystem. Explore different NoSQL databases and get comfortable with cloud computing platforms.
Right.
There are tons of great resources available online, including tutorials, courses, and even open source projects that you can contribute to.
So it's about getting your hands dirty and actually working with the tools, not just reading about them.
Absolutely. The best way to learn is by doing. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try out different tools, build some simple projects, and see what works best for you. The big data world is all about experimentation and innovation.
And I imagine having a strong network of other big data professionals can be helpful as well.
Without a doubt. Connect with people in the field, attend conferences and meetups, and participate in online communities. Sharing knowledge, asking questions, learning from others' experiences is invaluable in this rapidly evolving space.
It's like we're all explorers charting this new data frontier together, each bringing our own unique perspectives and expertise to the table.
Exactly, and who knows what amazing discoveries we'll make along the way. Maybe we'll find new ways to cure diseases, solve global warming, or even unlock the secrets of the universe. The potential is truly mind-boggling.
Okay, I'm officially inspired. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From the nuts and bolts of data ingestion to the ethical considerations and the mind-blowing possibilities, it's been an incredible journey.
And it's just the beginning. As we generate more and more data, the challenge will be not just to manage it, but to extract meaning from it, to find those stories hidden within the numbers.
So as you continue your own data journey, ask yourself, What stories are waiting to be told within the data you have access to? What insights are just waiting to be discovered? And how can you use those insights to make a positive impact on the world around you?
Keep diving deep, and you might be surprised by what you find.
That's all for this deep dive. Until next time, happy exploring.